As an experienced storage locker buyer, I thought it made sense for me to talk about who I think are the 5 best storage locker buyers on Storage Wars. So let's start with number 5, Dave Hester. Now, Dave is also going to appear on my 5 worst because he's one of the 5 best and he's also one of the 5 worst. And the reason for that is because he actually does know a lot about the stuff that actually is in the locker, which is important. But he's going to end up on the worst because, well, he bids people up and he's kind of a douchebag. So I'm including Ricky and Bubba Smith from Storage Wars Texas. So I'm doing the whole Storage Wars universe on here. They actually are excellent buyers. And as somebody that is a storage locker buyer, has been for a long time, I know that these guys know what they're doing. So if you haven't watched Storage Wars Texas, it's one of the best of the spin-offs. The rest of them I'll talk about in another video. But they definitely know what they're doing, and they've had a lot of experience unloading lots of stuff at once if you've watched the show. Number 3 is the gambler Daryl Sheets. So I like him personally. I felt horrible when I found out that I think he had a heart attack, but I think he's okay now. He really is just somebody who knows his stuff. He's known as the gambler because he takes chances. And, you know, as somebody who's purchased a lot of storage units, sometimes you got to take chances. Sometimes he takes too much of a chance and he ends up, you know, eating it on a locker, but that's the game. So he had a couple of the biggest lockers in the history of Storage Wars. One was the Gutierrez paintings that I think he said he ended up getting like almost $750,000 for. So if someone's going to make $750,000 on a locker, you kind of have to include him on the top 5 list. So for number 2, I have Ivy Calvin. So for a lot of people who watch the show may not also know that he was an MMA fighter. He owns a store, a thrift shop called Grandma's Attic, and he knows his stuff. It's very rare for him to lose money on that show, and if he does, he loses $100 or $200. He's been really good in that show, and he's somebody that, you know, I think I'm closer to a buyer like him on some aspects, where I used to take chances on units where most people wouldn't, and I'd end up finding those gems, and that's what he ends up doing too. So he definitely deserves to be the number 2. And my number 1 is the Bargain Hunters, Renee and Casey Nizzoto. So I think that they are the best for multiple reasons. One are because they had a lot of stores. I think they closed down most of them, if not all of them. And now they've opened up a big warehouse where they sell everything. If you don't follow him on YouTube, he does a ton of behind the scenes stuff with his wife and his daughter. And they just kind of show all the stuff that they buy. But he takes huge chances when it comes to buying toys. So he's my number 1.